Benvenuti ad un'altra tappa di Russia con piacere. Abbiamo lasciato Kazan, la capitale di Tatarstan, e attraverso una notte in Transiberiana siamo arrivati a Krasnoyarsk. Da qui abbiamo incontrato Guzel che ci ha portato nel paese di Maliturish. Maliturish è un piccolo villaggio, saranno 20-30 case, non di più, dove lei sta ricostruendo la comunità attraverso il lavoro e la trasformazione delle erbe spontanee, delle bacche e dei funghi, crea dei prodotti eccezionali. Quindi andremo a conoscere suo papà, che fa il miele in un campo spettacolare in mezzo al nulla, e andremo soprattutto a conoscere quello che lei sta costruendo, che è questo centro di educazione in mezzo alla foresta degli Urali. Quindi pronti a conoscere Guzel e il suo Maliturish. Andiamo in macchina con lei.
Hi, my name is Guzel. I'm the head of project in the village Maliturish. And now we are on the way from Krasnoyarsk to Maliturish. It's about 30 kilometers long, a very beautiful road. And the Krasnoyarsk is the nearest city, and it stays on the Trans-Siberian railway station. If you will go to Maliturish, you can use the bike. You can use the train, you can use the plane, and go to Yekaterinburg.
So, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes. Maliturish is a really small village. It's about 20 houses, and they have a production factory in Maliturish. We produce honey with berries, herbal tea, and cosmetics, and we have a special collection for IKEA. You will see.
Здравствуйте.
Это Марка,
Здравствуйте.
Маша.
Приятно познакомиться.
Они снимают блог в
Вау.
Италии. Смотри, что это?
Это очень, я не знаю, душица? Нет?
If you know, we produce herbal teas here at the production, and this is dushitsa. It's a main grass that we use. Usually people collect it on the hills nearby the village.
So it's wild.
Yeah, this is completely wild. Then we cut it right here. Now is Lila and Nasiba cut it, and then put it in the big drying
To
machine.
dry.
Yeah, and then we take it out and put it in the boxes. Then we put this dushitsa to the air drying machine. Then close it, and it takes about 12 or maybe 15 hours
Slow,
to dry.
slow, yeah.
Then take it out, put it in the boxes.
And chai.
Yeah, and brew
Super.
the chai. Yeah. Dushitsa, black currant leaf,
Huh?
and some berries. That's all.
Все?
Here is the place where we keep our beehives in the winter. It's like a big fridge right now in the summer, and now we store here our jam. This is, for example, a cherry one. And then we will put the labels and push it to the Moscow. This season we have 6 types of varenya. First one is zemlyanika. It's wild strawberry. Klubnika. It's the strawberry too, garden strawberry.
Yeah, it's different shape.
Yeah, it's different. The third one is zhimolist. I don't know.
This I don't know what is. What is?
I will show you, but
Жимолость.
zhimolist. The fourth one is raspberry jam, and the raspberry, the black currant, and cherry one.
Il primo passo per fare degli ottimi prodotti è andare al mercato. Quindi con Guzel andremo al mercato a conoscere le signore che raccolgono tutti i prodotti del bosco, dei loro giardini, i funghi, le bacche, le erbe spontanee, e andiamo a comprare quello che poi le servirà nel suo laboratorio per fare marmellate e conserve che andremo anche ad assaggiare. Andiamo al mercato.
Там начали перешептываться. Порядка населения.
tutti al mercato portano qualcosa a Giselle. Chi li porta le bacche, chi porta i funghi, chi porta le fragole, chi porta piccoli frutti che poi il Giselle riesce a trasformare e rielaborare nel suo laboratorio. E con i pinoli e il miele Giselle fa delle prelibatezze. Ma il miele da dove viene? Il miele viene dal suo papà. Suo papà ha circa 70 famiglie di api che alleva in mezzo alla foresta degli Urali. Capiremo la sua storia, da dove viene, perché si è trasferito a Mali Tuish e cercheremo di capire come alleva le api e come riesce a recuperare questo miele prelibatissimo con pochi mezzi essenziali, veramente basici, ma è quello che ci vuole. E soprattutto capiremo da dove vengono le medicine che le sue api prendono. Andiamo a chiederglielo.
Вот эта земля, вот начиная вон с тех лесов, вот, и получается до низа, до деревни, у нас в аренде. Тут 28 гектаров, неудобится, там ни трактор не проедет, ничего. Но где раньше даже совхозные поля, где сели, мы сейчас засеваем, медоносы засеваем, чтобы был стабильный какой-то взяток. Это все от погоды у нас, конечно, зависит. Вот здесь разнотравие, здесь вот именно за счет того, что сжатый период у нас взятка.
Насыщенный.
И нектар, соответственно, насыщенный. То есть, если он растягивает, не такой насыщенный. А здесь вот именно пчела, вот она рассчитана, что вот на короткий промежуток. Она и выведена, что она и злая, она за себя постоит, она где надо, она и сворует, как говорится, у слабой семьи.
Вы используете какие-то антибиотики для пчел?
Нет. Пчел есть болезни, которые надо лечить. Кто-то использует антибиотики, чтобы болезни, потому что есть лекарства, да? А мы не используем, потому что у нас есть свои полевые, в основном лечение у меня основное осенью. Полевой хвощ. На него делаешь отвар, и на этом отваре этот добавляешь уже в сироп определенную концентрацию. И они его поедают, они лечатся от всех этих болезней. И я приехал, купил здесь дом. Я вообще городской житель. У меня образование горный институт закончил. Горный инженер-технолог. Вот. И поэтому как-то даже здесь, вот у меня отец со мной тут 8 лет был, мы вот обшаник построили, то что это его голова, его мозги. Вот. Я только, мои деньги были, рабочие руки, так скажем. Но все построили, спасибо ему. И вот потом с 13 года я уже, считайте, самостоятельный. Если остаешься один, даже вот те же дрова или еще что-нибудь, понимаешь, где же улики перетащить, я один не смогу. Тяжело. Вот. Я этот трактор дал.
He has 70 families of...
Ce l'ha. Это коммунально.
Марка коммунальная.
И вот ее натягиваешь. Вот они, видите, личиночки.
Вау.
Вот с этой стороны. А воск мы его используем на косметику. То есть мы делаем масла, делаем крема, делаем... девчонки много чего делать, я тут уже не лезу.
Allora, avete cominciato ad inquadrare il mondo di Giselle, avete cominciato ad inquadrare cosa a Mali Tuish si sta costruendo, ma manca ancora la parte principale, manca ancora il centro educativo, la sede di tutto. E Giselle ha visto tutto questo mondo raggrupparsi in un unico posto che è stato costruito con l'idea, con lo spunto iniziale di essere una sala da ballo. Doveva essere un punto di incontro, un punto di svago per gli abitanti di Mali Tuish. Ma naturalmente Giselle non si è fermata qui ed è andata oltre. Quindi il centro principale di Mali Tuish sarà un centro educativo dove ci saranno corsi, conferenze, alloggi, dove si potrà studiare e dove si potrà capire come migliorare la situazione degli abitanti e delle comunità locali in Russia. Quindi andiamo con Giselle a scoprire il suo centro educativo. Привет.
Now we are in the educational space of the future community center for the Mali Tuish. the different activities. First of all, of course, it will be connected with the education, because I want to have two programs, educational programs. The first one will be for youngsters who live in village, because for me it's really important to teach them how to start their own business in the village and not to go out to the city. And the second program will be for the people who, like I am, who is trying to develop their villages and trying to make a social effect on their home. And another activities is connected with the needs of people in the Mali Turish. For example, it will be a little bakery, because if you want to buy a fresh bread here in Mali Turish, it's a big problem, because we have Avtolavka only once per week.
Wow.
You can buy the fresh bread only once per week, and it's a big problem. Then there is a little shop. Of course, we will sell the bread there, and actually our products from the production factory.
And which product you do?
We usually do creamed honey with berries, herbal tea, and a lot of stuff with vegetables, and lollipops, and caramel spoons, a lot of.
Because I saw Banka with your face, or babushka.
Banka with my face, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
cherry jam.
And why you choose cherry for you?
I don't know exactly, because it's the new one, and I'm proud to be on our jar.
On the cherry jam.
Yeah.
And when you start to think about this?
We started the construction on 2018, but I started to think about this at the end of 2017, when one grandma came to me and said, "Hey Giselle, now we have work here, and we see that the infrastructure of the village is developing, but there is a little problem." I said, "What?" She said, "We need to dance. We want to have a club." And
This
from
is
that, from that period of time, I started to think, okay, if I will build the club, there is a big problem, because usually club is not earning money. That's the problem. That's why you see it's a big building, and I hope it will earn money, especially from the tourists, because there are 10 rooms for tourists, and hope next year you can be a tourist in Mali Turish and be there, and when you will pay money for your room, you will know that we will take this money and put it in the education,
And
in the
stay
fresh
here in the
bread.
village.
When I started in 2013, I resigned from the SAP company, IT company, and I was really tired, because every day you work, but you don't know the sense of that work. And after I started here, I remember that I just wanted to help my papa to sell more honey. That's all. But
So he's doing honey from long time before you start to think about it.
yeah, and my grandfather did it, and then he gave his beekeeping garden to my father. And after that, when I started, I saw a lot of problems inside the village, connecting with the people. And when you're usually doing business in the village, it's impossible to close the eyes and don't hear about the problems. That's why I decided, okay, I will help people. And you take little opportunity and solve little problem, and then you see, okay, I'm still alive, okay, I can do much more bigger, and now I'm staying here.
По-polski шаг по шагом.
Шаг за шагом.
Шаг is-
And if I'm going back on 8 years that I'm doing it, I think that I'm a really happy person, because I know that every day I do my best. And if tomorrow is my last day, I think that, okay, I'm okay, я все успела.
So this is what you like. This is what you
Yeah.
like to do. And you born here. You are from here.
No.
Where you are from?
I was born in Yekaterinburg and finished the school in Yekaterinburg. Then I moved to Moscow and finished Moscow State University. And then I went back.
And how you choose this place?
Because in this village, my grandmother's grandmother from mother's side was born.
So it's part of your family.
Yeah.
This place. What does it mean, this place, for you?
It is my home.
So what does it mean, home, for you?
Home for me, it's a feeling that you are free. to do whatever you want. You know, in my work, it's a really cool thing that I dream about something and then I decide, okay, is it a dream okay to go to that dream? Okay, let's do a plan, you know, because I don't have a roof on me. I can fly. That's a freedom, it's a Ural freedom, and it's really hard to find that feeling in Moscow.
What does it mean, food, for you?
It's a pleasure. And you know, if you live in Moscow, you know that the food is without pleasure because you just eat to live. And in the village, you eat for pleasure. Maybe that's why I decided that, okay, we will produce food to give people original taste, to give people in the cities original taste from the village.
And what do you think when they try your pleasure, your product here? Which kind of reaction you have from people?
All of them say that, oh, it's the taste, the childhood, like my grandma did. And in that moment I understand.
And how do you see in 10 years this place?
This place,
Because you did almost 10 years now, 8 or 7 years when you start to think about, and so let's say you are in the middle now. And after 10 years, how do you, I mean, you had a dream, I'm sure, about this.
I guess in 10 years there will be several another entrepreneurs who will be in one team for developing their home. And I hope in 10 years I will be in another village, and here I will be like maybe, I don't know, like a big friend, and that's all. I hope that my mission, when I will finish the community center and launch all the programs, and when I will feel the result that I want, I guess I will go to another village.
So your point is to teach the local people how to be in their place.
Not to teach, it's help them. Because you know, usually we have a problem in Russia that a lot of people will say you when you start something, no way, you can't do that, you will face the problems and all that stuff. But I'm usually trying to say, yes, just try it, good luck, I will help you. That's my role. Because you know, we don't have a plan to raise the company 100 times bigger or maybe more, because this business, it will be small one. Maybe it's not the cheapest one, but it will be small, because if you grow up the big business, you need more employees and you need to make the village bigger. But I don't want to, because in Mali Turish there is it's like a charm, because it's really nice when it's so small. You feel yourself here like in the middle of nowhere. It's cool.
And tell me about glamping a bit.
When we started to construct the community center in 2018, we thought that, okay, 10 rooms for tourists, it will be enough. But after a few years, one friend of mine who has a big hotel, he said, hey Güzel, if you want to be economically stable in that, you should have at least 20 rooms. And that's why we decided, okay, if we can't make the community center bigger, we should test something to expand our capacity. That's why we decided we will test the glamping in this year as the first thing. Another thing that we think about the future tourists. Okay, you came to the Mali Turish, and what should you do? Okay, maybe one day of sleeping. The second day we will go to the beekeeping, or maybe on the production, or maybe for a walk. And on the third day we think, okay, you need more attractions. That's why there will be a little restaurant, because you can take a breakfast and dinner here too, but you need another place to go.
Yeah.
That's why we decided that we will have a little restaurant with local food and all that stuff. And then we thought, okay, I guess we need to think about a village spa. And that's why I hope in the next year we will do that. It's like a kind of infrastructure for the future community
But
center.
just banya or something more?
Maybe it will be banya and something more, I don't know exactly, we'll see.
Which your feeling about pleasure in food?
You know, we feel pleasure in food every day in the village, because all our products and all vegetables all around is fresh and nature, and you don't need any additions inside the cuisine and dishes. That's why just fire, just maybe potato, mushrooms and meat, and it will be delicious. That's why for us it's kind of normal. In each jar you can find the love of people from Mali-Turish and the care of, because they raise their vegetables and then give it to the production. They pick up berries for us all around the village and herbs, and then we will make the products from that. And I believe that when you drink a cup of tea and eat strawberry jam, for example, from the Mali-Turish, you should feel that. Because in this jar and in this cup of tea, you are a client, and you should feel that you help us too.
Yeah.
Not only we help you to feel the taste, because you see, all our profits we put inside the village, and we're trying to make people's life better. I just Google where I can take the money. Credits, it's not okay, because it's hard. And then I realized that the word crowdfunding, and that period of time in 2013, it was like a bad word.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about that. But I decided that okay, we'll try. And we just film on iPhone little story about the village and how we are trying to do something. And we propose people, you can buy a honey jar with berries from the Mali-Turish and support us to buying these drying machines. And I didn't expect the money. It was like an adventure, but we raised 3 times more that we asked. And that I realized that okay, but crowdfunding is not about the money. Crowdfunding is about marketing and PR firstly, and then about the money. That's why we have 6 successful crowdfunding campaigns. People in Moscow know me physically, because I remember how it was after the first crowdfunding campaign. I remember that there was 396 backers and about 200 people in Moscow. I put the jar on my backpack and go. First day it was a green line of metro, and next day it was a red line of metro, and I knocked the door to the people's apartments and say, hello, I'm Güzel. I just said it's that's your crowdfunding jar of honey. And for people it was kind of shock, because you know that, oh, I saw that girl in internet, but she's alive and she's real, and I can speak with her. Now in this year we launched the pre-order of our jams. It's a big amount of pre-orders, and usually I'm trying to call by myself, because people are really happy to speak with me, because most of them it's our previous clients or maybe our backers, and that's why it's so important that crowdfunding helped us to build the community of people who are staying nearby me and helping me to do that.
And they see that you are not just a person with the money who put money in the village,
Of course.
but you are here and you work and you are real. Siamo giunti alla fine di questo nostro viaggio nel mondo di Mali-Turish, negli Urali, al confine tra Europa e Asia. Come sempre alla fine mi piace ricordare chi abbiamo conosciuto, ciò che abbiamo imparato. Mi piace ringraziare tutte queste persone che ci hanno accolto nelle loro case. Güzel, la sua famiglia, ci ha aperto casa loro, non ci conoscevano. Suo papà conosce ogni angolo, ogni odore, ogni movimento della foresta. Vorrei ringraziare tutte le signore del mercato, gentilissime e solari. Ci hanno accolto nel loro regno. Ci hanno fatto assaggiare lamponi, fragole, mirtilli, gimlenost, una cosa eccezionale che non saprei tradurre, ma Güzel ci ha dato un barattolo che ci ha accompagnato nelle successive tappe della Transiberiana. Vorrei ringraziare tutti i ragazzi che abbiamo conosciuto nel laboratorio di Mali-Turish, ragazzi che tutti i giorni manualmente riempiono tanti barattoli di frutta fresca, di marmellate, di confetture, di miele, di noci, di pinoli. Stiamo entrando in Asia, questa notte passeremo il confine tra i due continenti e la prossima tappa è un piccolo paesino al confine col Kazakistan. Si chiama Karakul, nella regione di Chelyabinsk. Andremo a scoprire che cos'è il kvass, la tipica bevanda russa. Una bevanda leggermente alcolica, anche se avete forti dubbi su questo, che viene fatta in casa in modo molto semplice. Quindi riprendiamo il treno, riprendiamo la nostra Transiberiana e facciamoci ancora questa giornata abbondante di treno per arrivare al sud della Russia, al confine col Kazakistan. Scopriremo un mondo totalmente nuovo, andremo nella steppa, lasceremo le montagne in una tipica dacia di fine 800. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata di Russia con piacere.